Did they change their page? Okay.
Man.
Black Widow, directed by Kate Shortland. Writers Eric Pearson. Lead cast, of course, the famous Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz. And yeah.
Hey, Quintessence, thank you for resubbing. Dude, 5 months. Holy shit.
Quintessence is the man. Shout
Yes.
out. But yeah, what did you think about this movie?
Okay, so I didn't. It was okay. It's not a bad movie, but it's not like the best thing I've ever seen either. It's perfectly serviceable for a movie.
Yeah. To me, the best analogy I've heard about it is it felt like a Phase 1 Marvel movie, as they were kind of just making it to make it, and they didn't really do much for the greater universe other than just, setting up a little bit. Like, it felt kind of like a contractual obligation, like, we have to make a movie for Scarlett Johansson because we agreed to make at least one female-led Marvel movie, and we're gonna do it. But then they don't really put the effort into making the movie good, and it's just like, okay, so we made a movie, but it's just it ended up being kind of meh overall. Yeah.
I didn't think it was complete trash. I didn't really think it was that bad. I kind of like parts of it, but like so the problem is if I think about it too much, if I really think about the movie too much, then things start to fall apart. Of course.
Well, you're supposed to think about the movie a little bit. Like, what kind of falls apart when you think about it?
Okay. So, like, I mean, you just kind of want to go. Like, I don't want to jump ahead. I don't want to jump around too much.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking as we go, I can start to bring things up. But
yeah,
if you just start asking me, I'm gonna go from like the end of the movie to the beginning, and I don't want to.
Got it. So yeah. Reading a comment on Reddit, it said like the movie seemed fine. It would have benefited from an actual origin movie where Natasha goes to the Red Room and escapes. Instead, we get tossed into things. Taskmaster was wasted. Honestly, to me, that was the biggest sin because Marvel, to me, has a problem with not doing a lot with their villains later on. And Taskmaster would have been a really cool ongoing villain. And yeah, at the end of the movie, it's just, I don't want to ruin it just yet, but I mean, they don't really, they kind of wrap up her story by the end of the movie, and it's just like, that was kind of a waste of Taskmaster.
They leave it off where it's like, there could be another movie.
Yeah.
You're right. I do agree, Quintessence. I don't really think it was Taskmaster either, but wasn't it like, oh, never mind. It was the bad guy's daughter. But here's the thing that I want to bring up real quick about Taskmaster and the Marvel Universe in general is that they can now fuck up whatever they want, and they're going to be able to fix it because they have multi-universes now.
Okay, well, I mean, this is a Black Widow review, man. This is a Wendy's.
Well, so the problem is that
okay, hold on, but that's a Loki spoiler. By the way,
it's well, I mean, it would also technically be a WandaVision spoiler too.
Yeah. So yeah. Side note, which we were gonna get into. I planned on getting into it today, but holy cow! Like the Loki finale to me was great. I was blown away. That was honestly like that shot it up to just being like a regular Marvel show to my favorite of the Marvel shows so far.
Yeah, we're actually gonna put spoilers in the title so we don't have to worry about it.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. I was a little worried about it, but yeah, like Jonathan Majors. Oh my god, he killed it. Absolutely killed it as an introduction to a villain. Absolutely killed it.
Jonathan Majors.
He's the black guy who plays Kang.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the actual actor's name, but yeah, I thought he did a great job.
Yep.
So, the way that they're sort of tying everything in is like it's cool, right? Like everything kind of makes sense, and it does make sense for Black Widow to be part of Phase 4. It's like it doesn't have to be,
well,
but they
was she part of Phase 4? Because chronologically the movie takes place a little after Civil War. So it's not even really like with this set of movies. Like the only thing that was technically Phase 4 about it was the stinger with Elaine from Seinfeld recruiting Florence Pugh's character for I don't know, Thunderbolt stuff or whatever.
I mean, you're gonna have like her and U.S. agent.
Yeah, Dark Captain America.
I don't know. But
I really liked Loki. Loki was like, I think it got better episode by episode. And by the last episode, I loved it.
I mean, actually, okay. So to go back to Loki is after finishing seeing all the episodes, man, is Tom Hiddleston a really good actor?
Yeah, I'd also agree with that.
He like surprised the hell out of me when I was watching. I was like, holy shit, he's amazing. Sorry, Quintessence said I didn't know you were the Loki spoilers. But yes, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, we'll try to be light on the Loki spoilers. Like we don't have to talk too much about it, but I like the last episode is really, really good. You should watch Loki if you get the. I will show the hell out of Loki. You should watch it if you get the chance.
Yeah.
The Thanos copter is now canon. Praise the multiverse. So there was a reference in the episode 5. They had it lying around the little junkyard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had the Thanos copter. But yeah, no, really, really good series. Introduced the next villain of Phase 4 by the end of it. Just a lot of really cool things they did. Best part of Loki to me was the fact that they make you care for Loki all over again. Like I was like at the beginning of the Loki series, because like this isn't the mainline Loki. Like this is the Loki after the Avengers fucked with the timeline. So he was still technically evil. So I'm like, how are they going to make me care about Loki again? Because he'd gone through so much character development in like Thor 3 and all the other stuff like that. Right. But then he died. And I was mad that like they killed Loki after all his character development. But no, they found like a cool way to do all of his character development over again and then some. And by the end of it, you care for him again, and you like him almost as much as, or even more than the other Loki we had. So it's just like they do just really, really good Marvel writing. They made you care about Loki all over again. And of course, thanks to Tom Hiddleston's acting, just nailing it.
Yeah.
You're right back in. Like this is our Loki again, thanks to the show.
Agreed. Yeah. No, I thought they did a really good job. Okay.
Yep.
And obviously, I don't want to spoil too much about it because I feel like that's all I'm gonna do if I keep talking about it.
Mm.
And this is like not a Loki.
Yeah, this is sorry, this is a Wendy's, but yeah, this is Black Widow review. But yeah, no, Loki was really good. I'm gonna show it to anyone who asks about it. It definitely needs to get watched. But yeah, back to Black Widow. Let's see. My biggest frustration was how the movie wasn't really about anything. Like Captain America 2 had stakes. Like Hydra was going to take over the world using their helicarriers that were just going to snipe people from all over the world, I guess, because that's a plan. That's like some James Bondian idiot plan, but it's a plan. This movie, it was just like, I have a secret spy cabal of female agents, but I don't really do anything with them. Like, the bad guy at the end didn't name one thing he actually did with his evil crew. Like, if the movie would have had stakes other than just saving the Black Widows, that would have been something, but it really didn't. And that was a little frustrating to me, because I'm like, okay, so they're going to save the Black Widows, but I mean, give me a little bit more to get me invested.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like just starting off, the movie's like moves really, really fast,
It
and
does, and it doesn't really give you what was it? You know what? Like one of my favorite references to the Black Widow stuff that we didn't even see in this movie, which is kind of frustrating, is in I think what Avengers 2 when Natasha explains to Bruce about how like the Red Room was horrible and uh she can't have kids. And then she doesn't even give that speech this movie. Like she barely mentions it. Like I
well,
would have made that like a critical point of the movie where she's like, um, they like there should have been a conversation between the two. Like, did you ever want to have kids? Yeah. And then it would have given you some like emotional stakes because like this is what the Red Room took away from them. But no, it was kind of brushed off. It was like we're just cool agent bad guys. Who cares about kids? You know.
well, the thing is that the sort of the way they kind of went over that was when you kind of meet back up with them, and they meet their dad again, and the sister brings it up. She actually says, well, why are you mad at me for for putting you in the Black Widow camp or something like that, and then they explain to him exactly like what they did to them, and like how they took out their ability to like reproduce and all that stuff. And it does get brushed over pretty quickly.
It totally does. It's almost brought off as like a joke rather than like a really serious thing. And like, yeah, Russian humor is dark, but like, I think that should have been a more important scene in the movie than just like make David Harbour feel bad or make the dad feel bad.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And just they're very. I mean, obviously, like it did feel very forced at times. Like, and yeah, it really seemed like there wasn't many stakes because you knew what happened, right? Obviously, it starts off and it's your childhood, and then even that isn't taken very seriously, because they're like, well, we're family, but we're not really actually family members. We're just a sleeper cell, like fix a family.
Even though they all kind of act like it at the end of the movie, and it's just like, well, if are you guys family or are you guys not family? Like, is this like Fast and the Furious La Familia?
It definitely is.
Are you guys just spy people? You know?
Well, I mean, they're spy people, but like family is real important. I guess to them for some unknown reason. Even though they're only together for, I think, like they said they were only together for like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the sister was like, oh, this family was like really important to me. It was real to me, and then everyone else knew it wasn't real. And so it was just like, oh, well, because his mission failed or something like that. Which I actually can't remember exactly what his mission was. Like the dad.
No, his mission succeeded. He stole like plans that had analyzed the brain, and that's what allowed the bad guy Dreykov to build the mind control device in the first place.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Because Dreykov, the bad guy, was the guy who gave him like the super soldier serum.
I guess, yeah, that was pretty cool, but yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was before, but it explains. Hammer Sickleman's abilities, right?
Yeah.
So then, basically they have to leave, and his plan is done. So then they have to go back to Russia and rejoin the Black Widow project with him and his sister, or her. I'm sorry, Scarlett Johansson and her sister having to pop back in as well.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, like, and then okay, so it was a little weird. Where
what did you think of David Harbour's Red Guardian? I found him kind of like I thought he was good, kind of comic relief. Like he was like, what if Captain America were like old Russian and like didn't give a shit?
kind of delusional and having a huge ego. Yeah, no,
Well, it wasn't even just that. It was that like his time had passed, so he was like mentally trying to relive his glory days, but like meanwhile he hasn't done anything cool in like 3 decades or more.
well, he was also in prison.
Yeah, but he probably could have broken out at any time. You know, I feel like he was still a super soldier.
Right, but I don't think he like. I think the thing is that he was like the cool. He was the cool guy in prison. So like, he kind of had it made. It seemed like, you know what I mean. He's in prison, and he's like hanging around everybody, telling stories, breaking people's hands and shit. He's like, I'm a badass, and that's when, of course, they eventually break him out. But
it's still prison, like.
True, yeah. I mean, it's true. He did say he didn't like it, so he still was acting like a real cool dude. But I thought he was pretty good. I don't know. I think he was like he was a good comic relief. Though I kind of wish he had more action scenes to make me like really actually believe that.
Yeah, I agree.
He supposedly went toe to toe with, like, he says he went toe to toe with Captain America. We both.
He says he could have. He says he could have. Yeah.
I don't
know if they've actually fought.
So the thing is that he says that they did, and everyone called him a liar.
Yeah, I feel like he was a liar because Captain America was still frozen in ice. Like that was the point that the dude made.
Right, but I mean, there's like, okay, so there's a whole thing about there being a fake Captain America in the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
From the time that Captain America was in ice. So there is like a possible explanation to that they could go down that road if they wanted to. I don't know if they will. And it's kind of like a little bit of a world building thing, like possibly for people who like comics.
I feel like he was just talking shit and the other guy called him on it, which is why he broke the dude's wrist. But yeah, it was like David Harbour's character was kind of funny. Like I liked him in that role. Cool. I wish there had been more action scenes. I agree with you. The action in this whole movie was kind of spotty, honestly. Like I wasn't too into the fight choreography. Yeah. I wasn't too into the set pieces. Some of the bike and motorcycle chase scenes were cool, but other than that, I found it all kind of lacking a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like it was just sort of pieced together at the last moment.
Yeah.
Like they're like, hey, we need to make an action movie. Let's get to it, and then like I've never really enjoyed the way that Scarlet Witch, why would I say Scarlet Witch? The Black Widow fought, because like every time she has to do she does like the same few moves. She does like the thing where she swings around and throws somebody like pro wrestler style, or she does like some kind of an arm lock, because they all have to do callbacks to like the previous movie she was in. And she really does reuse, like, the same fighting movements from other movies. Which, I mean, makes sense.
Okay, so honestly, I thought that was one of the best references in the movie was when Florence Pugh's character called her on that for her, like, dumb fight poses. Like, that was the most meta moment of the movie, and honestly, like, it was kind of true. Like, she's always doing, like, dumb superhero stances, and I'm like, you're a spy. Like, why? Why is that something you do?
Right, that's true. Yeah, she's being flashy, but she's a spy.
Yeah, it's just, like, it doesn't really make sense at all. But when Florence Pugh's character called her on that, I thought that was one of the better in-jokes in the movie. But yeah, like, looking at director Kate Shortland's resume here, she hasn't really done any other action movies, so like I don't know if that affected it or if it just whoever they hired to do the action just wasn't feeling it. But yeah, I was a little disappointed in the fights in this movie, in the set pieces. I thought some of the Taskmaster stuff was cool, like the way she threw the shield or the way she used the bow. Definitely most underused character of the movie. But again, they wrap up their story kind of at the end. Like this movie didn't. I don't know. Like this movie didn't really have. It was not a complex movie. I'll put it that way. Like there wasn't. You weren't ever conflicted by anything other than In fact, you weren't really ever conflicted. Like, it brings up like it brings up Budapest. It brings up one of Natasha's sins. Like, you've been wondering from the beginning of the Marvel Universe what she did in Budapest and why she felt bad about it.
Yeah.
You find out it's because she blew a little girl up, and then the little girl kind of forgives her at the end, and it's just like, really? Like,
that was her redemption story, dude.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, I would still be pissed. Like,
they just slapped a Band-Aid on it.
Oh my god, it was so dumb. Like, honestly, like, to me, that would have been, like, the movie would have been at least, like, 10 times better, as if, like, they, use... Okay, so, like, I love how it's, like, mind control, but then all you have to be is, like, fucking pocket sanded and you're out of the mind control. Like, their magic anti-mind control sand was, like, hilarious.
You just have to get hit in the face with Kool-Aid and you're all set.
And you're all set. It removes the mind control. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But yeah, so they removed the mind control from Taskmaster. And she was just like, we good? Yeah. And it's like, what? No, you blew me up when I was a child! Like,
and
you should still be pissed!
And you killed my dad!
And you killed my dad, yeah! I mean, her dad was a dick, so, like, maybe she would have appreciated that, but, like...
Yeah, but we have no reason to believe that.
Yeah. Like, she should have still been pissed. Like, I would have liked to fight after the mind control was removed to be like, no, Natasha, you should feel bad. You blew up a child. That was me. But no, this movie can't do anything complex.
Well, yeah, it just sort of like, oh, thank you. You made it so I'm not a vegetable anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, it did seem a little weak on that side of things.
But still, my face is, like, half melted and fucked up, and you blew me up when I was a child. But yeah, we're good.
Yeah, like, but now that I'm like 35 or some shit.
Yeah. It's like, wow, I guess you got over getting blown up. Cool.
Yeah, now that I'm dead. Thank you.
Yeah, now that I'm not a vegetable. Yeah, that just didn't make it was so weak. And it was such a weak way to, like, use Taskmaster. Like, of course, yeah. Yeah, it would have been really cool as if she had stayed a villain and they had to fight her at the end, and she just, like, fell off the plane, and then maybe she could have shown up later. But no,
yeah,
we used Taskmaster, and now she probably, the way she was written, she won't be coming back more than likely. So another great Marvel villain wasted.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but, like, at the same time, I don't think it'll be anytime soon if that's the case. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's sort of, it's been implied for a long time that there's going to be, like, a multiverse. But, like Doctor Strange's next movie is called The Multiverse of Madness. Like,
yeah, and there's also the What Ifs coming out, so I mean, maybe we'll see some cool stuff there.
Right. So the thing is anything can happen. Really. It's like,
yeah, but Taskmaster's kind of like, he's not a cosmic villain. He's like kind of a low level, like he would have been he's perfect for these spy movies because he's just a, like, you know, brick and mortar, like fights with his hands and his like CQC skills villain. And I don't know. She in this case, but the character did, in my opinion, in this movie.
Right. I didn't actually hear that last part. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying that Taskmaster was kind of wasted in this movie.
Yeah, no, Taskmaster definitely was. It was like the weakest character in the whole movie. It was basically just like, oh, we need some kind of a famous bad guy, or we need somebody to bring people in. Taskmaster. Oh, yeah, cool. Hey, yeah. It's nothing like Taskmaster from, like, the comics or like, you know, anything you know from, other than the fact that she can just, like, you know, mimic other people's moves. That's it.
They didn't even really explain that, though. Like, that's Taskmaster's, like, core power, and they could have spent more than, like, a minute and a half, like, a minute not explaining it.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, other than, like, oh, she's got a Robobot chip in her head. So that's why she's able to duplicate other people's moves.
Yeah.
So let's see. So we got to, you know, they broke what's his name out of prison. They meet the
Mhm.
mom, right? They go find the mother.
The prison break was kind of cool, like the avalanche scene and like a couple of like that
Yeah,
was a cool set
the
piece.
whole cinematography is really neat in that whole scene where they like decide for some reason they cause they cause an avalanche because they're shooting at the helicopter, which that person has like the worst aim ever because
Pretty much,
they can't shoot a stationary helicopter.
pretty
and
much, yeah.
and then obviously the sister like shoots a rocket at it, causes the avalanche, and then that kind of like that's supposed to put more pressure on the scene to get him out of there. Though I don't know. I don't see how that would have been. It's whatever, man. They get him up there. They basically have him hey, wait, he doesn't even get his fight scene in that part, does he? The dad.
No,
The dad, yeah, he like kind of like he craps out on him because he like doesn't he get knocked out or something like that?
hmm
And
I don't remember if he gets knocked out, but like I remember it was definitely a struggle getting him onto the helicopter.
right, yeah. So basically they get him on the helicopter, and then they're like, "Oh, actually, that was kind of a funny part where it's like, can we make it to was it Moscow? Where they're going? They're like, oh, can we make it
Oh
to
yeah, and the
Moscow with
helicopter
this
just
amount of
falls out of
fuel?"
the
And he's
sky.
like, "It'll
Yep.
be fine." And then just like the next scene is the helicopter literally just like
Oh,
falling from the sky.
yep. That was pretty funny. Yeah, you're right.
And then they just like walk the rest of the way, and they just happen to be near like, of course, they happen to be on the same like roads that the mom lives on or lives near, with their pigs.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. Movie logic there. Definitely geography. But yeah, the scene with the helicopter flying out of there was kind of funny. That was a good little comic relief scene. But yeah, so they go to the mom. The mom has pigs. She choked the fuck out of a pig. That was kind of weird. That was a weird scene.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
that's when like they have like the actual like heart to heart, and they're like, well, this is the first time we've been back together, and like
yeah,
all this time, and they explain, oh, well, the whole thing wasn't real, and then that's where
yeah.
like sort of the own internal drama starts to come up.
They
Of
explain how the mind control works and stuff like that. Yeah. Um. Yeah, that was an okay scene, I guess.
well,
Like,
the funny part was like, remember the dad tries to explain to the daughter, like like what was it? Oh my god, he like tries to give her like a manly like example of like what it like how what was it? Oh my, he was like trying to be a dad, but he was like giving the worst example. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. It was something like how like she felt like he wasn't her real dad, and he's like trying to. I can't even like think about the part and do it justice really.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I think like then they get ambushed. That's right.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing. They do that thing where it's like a bait and switch, where like she makes you feel like the ambush was like they do one more twist, and like it makes you wonder if the mom had backstabbed them, but the mom was secretly working for them all along, and like having them captured was the best way to get them on the bad guy's spaceship or whatever. It wasn't a spaceship. It was basically a Russian knockoff helicarrier.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. They're like, hey, we need to move this plot along. Let's have the bad guys go to them. Okay.
yeah, basically. But
And I remember like the part where like the dad is like, he's like, you think this one tranquilizer dart's gonna take me out? And then they like shoot him like 5 or 6 more times with like tranquilizer, and he just
yeah,
passes out.
that was pretty funny. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah. Again, we go through this whole movie wondering who the bad guy is and like
right.
how he has sway over so much. And then you meet him and he's kind of just a chump. Like he's a normal shit talking bad guy that really like can talk a bunch of shit but can't really back anything up other than with his like crew of muscle. So I was a little disappointed with that. Like,
Yeah,
it would have been
like
cool.
like he was
It would
like
have been cool if he could fight or something.
yeah, he's literally like, I have money. That's his
Yep.
superpower. He's Bruce
Yep.
Wayne, but without all of the cool stuff.
Yep. Like he has like his only power was the muscle that he employed. Like other than that, he was a chump.
Yeah.
Which it wouldn't even says as much. She was like, because like apparently he has this like weird pheromone thing where you can't. I guess if you're a girl, you can't hurt him. It didn't even make sense. Like they explained it so late in the movie that I'm like, what? I don't understand this.
Right, yeah, the movie had a lot to go through, so it was jogging at this point.
Yeah, and it was like they explained that she couldn't hit him because he had a weird pheromone that made people unable to hurt him.
Yeah, so like any of the Black Widows or any of the people that went through the Black Widow project have like some kind of a pheromone or like they have some kind of thing where like they can't actually hurt the bad guy because of a pheromone that he puts out. Basically meaning and like they didn't explain it super well.
They didn't at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But oh no, I was just gonna say. So like, she basically has to break her own nose, to stop smelling the pheromone. Because he can't do it, and she's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be able to do it, but you're so weak." And I was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, he's kind of a bitch, but you did write him that way."
Well, I mean, she kept trying to provoke him and trying to get him to hit her, and he's like, and she was like just trying to get him to break her nose, which is kind of a silly part, but it was like supposed to be like a huge like, taking away his masculinity type situation.
Yeah.
And like it made him seem like a bitch, but I mean he is like a fat rich dude, so I mean
yeah. Well, another really funny review I read was basically talking about how like everyone in the movie at least tries to give a passable Russian accent, but the bad guy, bad guy's Russian accent wasn't even close. Like he was basically like a rich British accent. Like it was absolutely the worst. He didn't even try.
I'm just
like
really
almost
confused about that. Like
almost Sean Connery levels of bad Russian accents.
I didn't even think that the sister had a very good Russian accent. No one did. Everybody's Russian accent pretty much sucked. It just it didn't seem very believable at all. And then like Scarlett Johansson wasn't even trying.
Nope.
I think she like kind of gave up on that like a few movies ago. But
pretty much, yeah.
It was pretty lame. And I was just like, I just wish that everyone would stop trying. Well, I mean, David Arbor was okay,
Yeah.
But like at the beginning, it made it really confusing that he started off not talking with one, and neither did the mom. And then, like the next time you see them, they have a Russian accent.
Yeah.
And I just sort of.
I mean, technically they're spies, so I guess they should be able to accent switch. But this movie was all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. But. So, like, I don't know. Actually, there was another thing that they kind of glossed over a little bit, and that's the fact that they said that Taskmaster in this movie had all of the abilities of the Avengers. Like, and like Taskmaster could fight just as well as they could. That was like a passing line that big bad guy had said, which wasn't. They really didn't even elaborate on it at all. Like they kind of well, they did elaborate in a sentence.
It was just like, again, they just underused her the whole movie. Like it would have been one thing if like it would actually been really cool if they had basically kind of written her kind of like Nemesis in like Resident Evil, where like she's so much better than Natasha at fighting that Natasha basically has to run every time she sees her. And has to get help when she fights her, but like no, she was just like a little better than Natasha, and Natasha still won at the end. So it was just like underusing a character that was supposed to be cool.
Yeah, but I think that was like the whole idea of her having a shield was that it was supposed to be like her having Captain America's shield, or but that was the only thing that she did that was sort of like Captain America was that it just seemed like it was kind of half-assed. That whole character, everything about it was half-assed.
That's how this movie feels. It just feels half-assed. Like it feels like Marvel didn't want to invest any time, energy into writing it to be enjoyable, other than like a surface level. Like the villain was weak. Um, the bad guys, the antagonists were weak. Including like Taskmaster in this. The plot was just serviceable. Uh, I guess the characters were likable, like the good guys were likable, but that's about it.
I mean, like, I kind of, if I had to say like one person that I did like out of the movie, it would probably be David Harbour's character. But other than that, like I don't really care about. I mean, I didn't even really like the sister too much.
Really, I like the sister. I thought the sister was funny.
She's all right. Her lines. I mean, to me, it just felt like she was trying really hard to be funny, but like it wasn't like it was. I think it was the accent that took me out of it every time.
Accents were bad. Yep.
And I think that was like my biggest issue with like the acting in general was just bad accents or whatever. And so like then let me think. Like, oh yeah, so where were we? We were talking about how so they go up into the plane and they decide to have Scarlett Johansson and the mom have them switch identities.
Yep.
At one
That was
point.
also that was also kind of dumb. Although I guess like you're 99 minutes into the movie, and you need a last minute M Night Shyamalan twist. So we do something like that.
Well, I mean, even that twist wasn't even like that. I mean, I wasn't like, oh my god. I was like, oh, okay. She's just disguised as her mom.
Yep. She pulled the Mission Impossible too.
Shit. So
where's Tom Cruise?
Yeah. And so they switch places. The bad guy just like figures it out within like a few moments. Like it's not even going on for that long. And so basically they did that so the mom could go like break the dad out of the jail cell. So he was like gonna die basically.
Yeah, I guess the whole thing was kind of like dumb. Like it was like it was one of the most ineffectual. Like, what was Black Widow's plan even as the mom? Like, it was one of the most ineffectual. Like, barely did anything in the story other than I guess it got her close to the. Well, I guess that would be the plan. Then it got her close to the guy, but whatever.
So Black Widow's whole entire plan was to listen to the bad guy's master plan, and then like basically beat him up, and then defuse the whole situation.
Yeah.
And then blow up the Black Widow copter.
Yeah.
Or the empire of Black Widows, you could say.
Yep. She's supposed to be this badass spy, but her whole plan was like, I'm gonna throw hands and beat this guy up.
I'm gonna go punch him.
Yep.
But yeah, so and then there was like the whole like everybody's flying in the air scene, where it's like, okay, they start, there's an explosion. I don't remember why the building exploded. I just remember.
I think they messed up one of the engines. They blew up one of the engines.
Oh, that's right.
So
yes. Oh, yeah.
Just like a helicarrier, it's toast at that point.
So while the dad, okay, so there's a few things going on at once. Scarlett's fighting the bad guy. The dad is fighting Taskmaster. Mom goes talk to save the dad or whatever, and then blow up an engine. Right. So while that's happening, Scarlett Johansson is like talking to the guy, and then he sicks all of the Black Widows on her, and basically they start beating the shit out of her, like free. Like it's not even a contest. I mean, she like holds her own for like 5 seconds, and then she just gets jumped, right? And then it's not until like a little while the sister comes in and saves her by like throwing up the red Kool-Aid, the healing Kool-Aid, and then knocking everyone out of the brainwash that had been going on. So, crap, I can't even remember how the dad got out of the situation of fighting Taskmaster. I think eventually, like, he just kind of got his ass kicked, and Taskmaster got locked inside of a jail cell.
Yep.
And so the mom had blown one of the fan pieces, or the motors that was keeping like the whole flying fortress up in the air, which seems really dumb that no one could find them, even though shield is a thing that exists. It itself has a flying fortress, but anyway, so the whole thing starts to come down, and there comes the escape scene, and as the bad guy's escaping with his henchmen, the sister jumps up on top of the helicopter, jams a stick inside of one of the propellers, and just blows the whole thing up, right? And then they get rid of the bad guy. They just blow him up with a stick inside of a propeller, which knocks the sister off the building. And then here comes the part where everyone starts flying, pretty much.
Yeah, it was almost like Fast and the Furious, where like just ridiculous like physics defying shit just starts happening on a whim. But like diving through the air, no parachute, just flying everywhere.
Well,
just like a video game. Yeah, that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, Black Widow chases after her sister with a parachute. And instead of her just wearing the parachute, and she had to hold on to her sister, and they both could have just taken the parachute and they could have held on to each other or something. I don't know how parachutes work in this situation, but he gives the parachute to her, and then decides to fight Taskmaster because Taskmaster is chasing her from the building that is falling or whatever. The parents have also gotten inside of a helipad, or
one of the jets,
one of the jets, and it was like, they're flying around, or whatever the hell, and they're like, we should go back for our daughters, and then you just don't see them until the end of the movie, which is like, it was a weird thing because it was just like, well. We should go save them. And then they just they turn around and you think they would be involved somehow, but they're just not. They're gone.
Yeah, I mean it was the end of the movie, so it was about Natasha and her sister and what they were up to. But yeah, the comment was weird, especially if they don't end up doing anything at the end.
Yeah, so they don't actually save them, because I thought that's what they were gonna go for.
Yeah.
So what they do is Natasha saves her sister, puts a parachute on her, and then just keeps flying in the air, because that's a thing you do. And then Taskmaster is now chasing her in the air as well, is able to just directional influence herself wherever the fuck she wants to go. And,
well, the most egregious part of the scene to me is that she finally catches up to Taskmaster. I guess Taskmaster's parachute auto deploys because they were busy fighting, so I don't know when she would have time to pull it herself.
Well,
and then they both hit the ground hard. And if you know anything about parachute physics, you're going pretty fast when you hit the ground. It doesn't really slow you down that much. So you gotta remember, she should have broken something.
There's a part where when they're flying through the air, that they just land on part of a building that is flying as well. And then they use a knife or something like that to slow themselves down, to have a little bit of scuffle on this. It was literally the opening scene of Bayonetta 1 or 2. It looked like that. If you've ever seen that. So yeah, you're right though. But then they continue to fall, and then they just get close enough to the ground where they just hit the ground, not too hard.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like in real life, like that would have been like they would have been all fucked up because like that was not a good landing at all. Like they basically hit the ground and bounced, and it was like, oh, okay, everyone's fine, no one's injured. Like, okay, it's not how human bodies work, but sure, we'll go with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So they land, and then they have they basically they don't really have a fight like from there on. I think Natasha basically just uses more red Kool-Aid and then knocks what's her face out of being brainwashed.
Taskmaster. Yep.
Even though she has like an electronic chip inside of her head that's supposed to whatever. That's kind of an inconsistency. There's nothing that imply it doesn't matter. Anyway,
they don't even really explain what the electronic chip in her head does. They just said she has a chip in her head because she got blown up.
She has a chip in her head, and basically, she's a Mark Zuckerberg now. So she basically has to do whatever that dude says, even though he's dead at that point. So then they just kind of look at each other, and then they have some kind of reconciliation that really isn't said. It's just the fact that Black Widow helps the Taskmaster die.
Well, I don't think she died. I just think she was off the mind control. So I mean, she's probably okay, but other than her face being fucked up, but you can't fix that at this point. I mean, you can with plastic surgery.
True. I mean, and they had the money for that.
Yeah.
But anyway. So they just land. That happens. Then the sister lands or whatever, and then everything starts to slow down. And then the parents land, and they're all like, "Whoa, we're all okay," or whatever. And then, oh fuck, I even forgot about this thread. But there's this takes place between I think it's Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Okay.
So basically there's this army guy that is in the I think the Winter Soldier that he's in from the original Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he's Robert Downey Jr. Class OG Marvel Cinematic Universe character that they brought in later on. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because they never actually have him talk to David Banner or David Banner.
Bruce Banner.
David Banner is the hip hop dude, right?
Yeah, and I mean sometimes in the comics, the Hulk goes by David Banner. I think his full name is David Bruce Banner or something like that.
All right.
But don't worry about it.
It's fine. So anyway, basically that guy shows up, and then they don't explain what happens. But all you need to know is that supposedly, she got in trouble somehow. And then it was like, oh, I need this helicopter to go on my next mission. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. There's another minor character, I can't remember his name, but he's basically the guy who got Black Widow all of her equipment. And it kind of
let's talk about that guy, because I thought that guy was low-key, unintentionally the funniest character in the movie. Because he was trying so hard to get with Natasha, and she was giving him no play at all. No. he was conveniently sleeping in her bed, in the RV in the first scene, and she just shows up and just kicks him out. Yo,
but baby, I'm already here.
Yeah, it's just does that ever work? He's pulling the sleeping man card. I'm already sleeping in the bed. Come on. But yeah, he was trying so hard to get on her good side, and man,
was hitting on her that hard. Yeah.
She was giving him nothing to work with. It was great.
Well, I mean, once you get that Hulk dick, you know what I'm saying?
I know, right?
There's no
going back.
Going back.
Yeah, but man, that shit was hilarious. Like unintentionally hilarious because like he was like, "Yo, like he was like, "Can't you see me out here working? Like, you know how hard this job is." He was like talking himself up, and she was like, "Sure, yeah, He's like, "Okay, you go now."
He literally was friend zoned from the beginning of the movie.
Oh, he was iced out.
And yeah, he definitely was getting no play. He's getting no play whatsoever. And then, but he's like, but you know, you owe me money, but you know what? You're my friend.
Oh yeah, he was trying to low key pull that card too. He's got nothing. He got nowhere.
No, dude, yeah, he wasn't, dude, fucking nothing. He was friend zone, man. Hardcore.
Yeah. Ice the fuck out.
And like that was pretty damn sad, if you ask me. But yeah, it was super funny. And then at the end, she's like, you know what, you're all right, and that's about it. And like, yep. and then she walks off to her helicopter, and you're never gonna see this guy in another movie ever again.
Basically,
you might, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll stick him into something else, but like, you know,
maybe. But his character was unintentionally one of the funniest in the movie because he just got nowhere with Natasha.
Wait, what? You know, then that kind of brings the question: is like, if these characters were all pre-existing Marvel characters, why
he gave her like an unlimited budget to buy whatever she wanted? and it was just funny. He just ignores it for half the movie.
Yeah, like, but not only that, but like, where was her? Like, she died, right? So she should have had some kind of a funeral.
Yeah, no, they didn't even do a funeral scene for her, man. Black Widow got like short shrifted this entire movie, honestly. Like, yes, she was ostensibly the main character in this movie, but barely.
I mean, you would think like they would have a funeral for her. They had one for Tony Stark.
Yeah,
but it's like, and then they even had like the dumb kid from Iron Man 3 there.
Show up,
but like they wouldn't have like the at least these unknown characters. Like that could be interesting. I don't know. It's like, who's that?
Yeah,
I want to know who that is. But I get it. I mean, it just seems a little strange. But I mean, still, it's. I mean, I guess it's whatever, man. That's what I'm saying. Is like once you start like really looking into the movie. And you start picking it apart, it's like, oh, this is so dumb. Like, why is any of this happening? Why would...
That's what I'm saying. Like, Marvel put no effort into this one, it feels like. The script is just, it's so underwhelming.
Okay, so let's say, like, you have these other threads, right? Like the fact that at the beginning, like, where the sister is on stakeout, or that she's like, still brainwashed or whatever. And, like... Mm-hmm. Her friend, oh my god, I forgot her friend. Anyway, her friend. So like, they're staking out trying to get the red Kool-Aid to whatever to basically destroy it. I'm assuming they never actually explain why. And
because the red Kool-Aid breaks the mind control.
Yes, yeah. And so they're trying to get the red Kool-Aid, but why? Honestly, wouldn't it be more interesting if like the sister was already like trying to like fix the widow's issue, like the
oh yeah, the writing of this movie was totally like
it seemed like such an unnecessary step to have her like chase a widow and then have her be like, I honestly when I saw that I was like, oh, she must be a good guy already, like she must be trying, and then it was like, no, she was brainwashed, and she's like, oh no, I hurt my friend or whatever. Like, like, that whole scene, in whichever order you place that, it wouldn't have made a difference. It was just a strange choice. And then, the other thing that kind of irked me was when Natasha's, like, driving to go get gas or whatever for her, I don't know. By the way, did you also see the foreshadowing? Like, you might not have noticed this, but there's, like, a strong foreshadow in the camper scene of the actual movie, where she's sitting there and she's watching a James Bond movie, right? So the foreshadowing at that part is that in James Bond movies, the villain always tells James Bond his entire plan, which is exactly what Black Widow does at the end of this movie. Which
I feel like that's a bigger trope than just James Bond movies. I feel like that's just most movies nowadays.
Yeah, but,
like,
it's like an intentional like homage to it. You know what I mean? It's like oh, they're both spy movies. This is a spy movie, but like she's basically like comparing herself in the situation to James Bond. It's stupid foreshadowing, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's lazy foreshadowing. I agree with you there.
So anyway, so like when she's going to get gas, from watching James Bond, she goes and obviously Taskmaster finds her, and then like she's like, oh, Taskmaster doesn't even want me. It wants the the red Kool-Aid or whatever. What wasn't she had red Kool-Aid for some reason? Oh no, it was his sister that sent it to her. That's right. Yeah. Because of the beginning of the movie. Anyway, that's okay. It just seems like now, when I really think about that, like the order that they did this in, they really kind of were padding out the time, because it's like, imagine how much more smoothly that could have went if, like, let's say, I don't know, the sister was fighting it to get the Black Widows back or something, or save them. And then, like, Taskmaster and that whole situation comes up, and, like, that's when kind of, like, Black Widow gets sucked into the issues that they're having. That could have been so much more interesting than just, like, oh, this just happened to happen in front of me, and I guess I'm just doing this now. That's what the whole movie felt like. Like, I don't know. Does any of this kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was kind of weakly written. It could have been more streamlined.
It could have been more streamlined, and like just the order. Like, maybe this was something that was like heavily affected by the coronavirus, which was why, you know what I mean, everything had to kind of be shot out of order. I don't know. I mean, it seems like, the next movie that we're going to talk about, it feels like it's had the same issue as well. Like, it kind of feels like it had, like, it was shot during the coronavirus, which is why, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of weird coronavirus things. Like, I'm pretty sure like some of the scenes were shot on like an obvious green screen, and like there was weird things with the audio. Like all of a sudden, it sounds like it's coming through. Like,
yeah, it sounded like at one point Chris Pratt is like talking inside of his garage, and like it's some clearly shit quality audio. Like, yeah, instead of being in a studio. But anyway.
Yeah, coronavirus definitely affected that production. But yeah, do you want to move on to the Tomorrow War? Because like I've said most of what I wanted to say about Black Widow. Like I'd give it, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10 to move on. Like it didn't do anything to impress me.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's probably, well, maybe it's like a generous like 6.5 to 7. Yep. But that's just, it's like a fine movie. Like if you're hanging out and you need to kill some time.
Yep.
Pop it in. If you like Marvel movies, if you like Black Widow, then yeah, I don't think it's completely shit, but it's not. Just don't pick it apart. Just drink beer and have fun.
Turn the brain off and watch it. Exactly. But yeah, as like a spy movie or as a Marvel movie, they could have done so much more with it that they just didn't do it. Just leaving food on the table.
I agree 100%.
It is what it is.
It seems like there's a lot they could have done, but Yep. So did you want to? What did you think? You want to move over to the Tomorrow War?
Tomorrow War? Yeah. If you wanted to. Did you want to take a break, or do you want to go right into it?
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and we'll take like 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and
perfect.
We can get back to it. All right, guys, we'll be right back. Peace out.